I grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina, and it was my great honor and privilege to be able to go to Greensboro Montessori School. And I am happy and proud to say that I was part of the first graduating class of 1997. There were only 3 of us. I just wanted to say to everyone, and especially to Nancy, congratulations on such an incredible legacy. What an incredible school, a school that truly left a footprint on my heart and continues to this day to be something I hearken back to and remember with such joy. I am a performer, I'm in the arts, and I know without a doubt, 100% that Montessori was formative in crafting that creative spirit in me. So I have so much gratitude and so much thanks in my heart for Montessori. So yay, have fun celebrating tonight.
Hey GMS, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Nancy, who put a lot of effort and dedication into making the Costa Rica trip and the land an unforgettable experience.
After Montessori, I went to Weaver Academy and studied piano. And after Weaver, I have gone to Guilford College, and I have been studying biology and chemistry and kind of associated sciences, as well as Spanish, on a track that's heading into the medical field. You know, when I think back to times with Nancy, I think my favorite memory with her maybe wasn't necessarily something she did, but she was certainly involved in it, was when we were out together at the Turtle Reserve in Costa Rica, and we walked for hours, and we were just about to turn back. We had seen nothing all night, and we finally walked up on like 3 big turtles, and we got to do everything that night. It was a long night, but it was totally worth it. And that was such a cool experience.
I'm a Montessori lifer, started in the toddler program and went there through 8th grade. And Nancy was one of my very first teachers in primary, and she kind of set the gold standard for what I felt like a teacher should be for really the rest of my life. She was so caring and so supportive, but also really gave me a lot of agency, even at that young age, to learn and explore on my own. And I am still, eternally grateful for everything that she did, all the guidance and mentorship that she provided.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, GMS and the GMS teachers, for teaching me many things and for making me who I am today.
I think one of the most important things I learned from Nancy and all the teachers at GMS was how to find a genuine passion for learning and always wanting to explore and grow academically.
As far as Nancy specifically, immediately the first thing that came to my mind when I was told that this event was going on was her coming with us on the UN trip to New York. And I believe that happened in 8th grade. And there was one afternoon where we were all sort of convened in Times Square, and we had a couple of free hours, and she was like, okay, buddy up, and we'll meet back here in a couple of hours. And some people might think that was crazy, but I think it just shows that she had a lot of trust in us, not only as students, but just as like full people at 14 years old. And it, again, that really just like boosted the confidence, because I know a lot of people who would not be handed that like personal responsibility at 14, but it meant a lot at the moment, and everyone was fine, obviously. We all came back after the 2 hours, had a great time in Times Square.
I went to North Carolina State University, where I majored in environmental science and plant biology. And after that, I did 2 internships at NASA Kennedy Space Center, studying plant crop production, so developing crops to be grown on the moon and Mars for the upcoming crewed missions to those other worlds. And now I am a first-year PhD student at Virginia Tech, studying plant hormone signaling specificity. So I went to Montessori basically since I can remember anything. Like, that's one of my very first memory is lining up in class in primary school to go out to recess or something, and Nancy is prevalent throughout my memory of the school. And I remember when I was younger that I was always, for some reason, really terrified of her for no reason. There was no good reason of that. But then once I got to middle school and I actually got to know her and stuff, she was like one of the funniest people out there. And like just going on the field trips to Costa Rica and to the United Nations with her were some of my favorite memories.
Right now, I'm at UNCG. I'm studying geography. And then next fall, I'll be in Denmark at the University of Copenhagen. So very excited about that. And back in high school, for a while, I volunteered at Greensboro Montessori over the summer. When I worked with some of the summer camps, I worked directly with Nancy part of the time, and she's really hilarious to work with. And you know, it's fun being like a student there and being with Nancy, but also working with her. You know, it's a different perspective, and she's just as fun, if not more.
So I spent many a day in Nancy's office having a one-on-one conversation with her. To echo what Joseph said, she was much scarier than maybe my interactions were with Frank when I was spending office time with him. But in both of those instances, I never felt like I was a problem. It was more of, here is the tools you need to learn how to operate in these settings, and learn your best on how to interact with students as well as your teachers professionally while in the academic setting. And so I think that helped me a lot and has allowed me to get to where I am today.
After GMS, I went to Page High School, and I did their IB program there. And then I am now currently a sophomore at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where I am studying environmental health sciences and geography. One of the most vivid memory I have of Nancy, I think is very amusing actually. But it was, I think, in 4th or 5th grade. And I just remember I went to the bathroom and found a tick and got really freaked out. And Phyllis was there with me, and I was like, Phyllis, you have to do something. And she went and got Nancy, and Nancy just came in and like scoop, and it was done. And after that, I was like, how did she do that? But after that, I was like, wow, Nancy has so many hidden talents.
I am so grateful for my time at GMS. It really colored my experiences for the years to follow. Following my time at GMS, ended up graduating from UNC Wilmington, North Carolina. Spent some time overseas in Hong Kong, spent some time overseas in Japan as a teacher. So a great shout out to all my teachers, Kristen Spangler, Brian Kilpatrick, Jamie Lafayette, all the other teachers I had over the years for inspiring me to carry on that legacy forward and across the world. Currently serving with the United States State Department, living in New York City. And I just want to say a great thank you to Nancy Hofer for her administrative skill when I was there, and for keeping me in line, because I was always cutting up and causing trouble. And thanks to her, both her care and attention, I have feel that I've achieved something resembling happiness and success in life.
So after graduating from GMS in 2006, I went to the early college at Guilford, almost down the road. And after that, I went to Carolina. So that was, a wonderful experience. Like I went from not caring at all about basketball to being like that annoying person that whenever Duke is mentioned in any context will just express some amount of sort of irritation or whatever. And so then after Carolina, I moved across the country and started a PhD in economics at the University of California, Berkeley. So that took a while. So it took 6 years, and I graduated last year. I was super excited. So I think I'd like to sort of conclude by just saying a couple of words and expressing appreciation for all the work that Nancy has done over the last 30 years. So I think that this sort of unique educational environment was really only made possible because of the culture of the institution that demanded inclusivity and gave teachers the freedom to experiment. It was really clear that there was a lot of value placed on non-standard educational experiences. And so, as a student, that was not always obvious that, all the work that had to happen in the background and all the sort of culture building that had to happen over the years. But nonetheless, I can see very clearly now that I've benefited tremendously from all the work that Nancy's put in. And I greatly appreciated that I had the opportunity to have that educational experience that provided me with so many rich and interesting memories.
In college, I studied sustainable technology at Appalachian State. I built solar farms for a couple of years and then transitioned into an office role for a solar operations and maintenance company. Since my mom was a teacher at the school, a lot of my free time as a kid was spent waiting for her at Montessori and getting to have interactions with the teachers and staff like Nancy. I had all of these really, really cool, interesting, smart, competent, wonderful, caring adult mentors other than my parents. So I think that was really super, super important to me and something that's just given me a lot of confidence in my life.
The biggest thing for me was GMS supported what you were interested in at the time. Because I know another alumni, RJ Gritter, he was super into flying as well. And Angie and a couple of the other middle school teachers, they would kind of formulate and they would come up with like examples, especially in math, examples to kind of like keep you interested in what you're interested in. So she would take aviation and spin it in a way in her math class, and you would understand a lot more. And I think that's the big thing for Montessori is, whatever's going on, the teachers are going to take that extra few minutes and stop what they're doing and help you learn the way that you need to learn.
I felt so safe as a learner at Montessori, and it was the opportunity to express different thoughts, ideas, values, opinions without shame, and that's incredibly valuable and something that I didn't even realize that I've been missing since that time. 17 years, 18 years. That I haven't really had that in a learning environment since then. There's been kind of like these intrinsic rules that I've had to follow, whether they were there or not. But it was way more open at Montessori. Try it, figure it out. Let's talk about it. Yeah, that's important.
Following GMS, I attended the early college at Guilford and was dual enrolled at both ECG and Guilford College, and I had a wonderful time there. And currently I am attending the University of Southern California, studying architecture, and plan to possibly minor in Spanish or potentially urban studies or something like that. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, in terms of memories, I think when I was originally thinking of memories of Nancy, I actually had a tough time coming up with stuff, which honestly is just a testament to how much she was doing behind the scenes, because I feel like she was just such a powerhouse with just organizing everything, coordinating like things like the land program and stuff that I think we all just hold near and dear.
I have a lot of really, really good memories from GMS. It's something that has truly impacted my entire life, something I carry with me every single day, just because of the lessons I learned there. I think one of my favorites, though, is definitely being out on the land, learning all of the outdoor skills that we learned there, because especially as a horse person, those were really important for me since I spend a lot of time outside. And then building the structures there as well. I've used that to build a lot of the furniture in my house, the skills that I learned with, power tools and measurements and basic design. I've carried those with me everywhere, from building my furniture to set design to repairing things at the gym when they fall apart, which they inevitably do at a boxing gym. So the land was one of my favorite memories, and I mean, truly all of the teachers have made an incredible impact, but I especially remember just Nancy being around all the time, being such a supportive character. So many times I remember her just like sitting in our Spanish classes, laughing along with us, being there with us. So yeah, I'm really grateful for my time at GMS and for all the people there.
Right after college, I moved to Northern Virginia to start my career as a software consultant. That's what I've been doing for the last 7 years almost. One of the things that always stuck out to me about Montessori was just like how diverse the classes were. Like we literally had a class about gardening, and like, we would just go outside and like plant stuff and like, eat berries from from the garden, and occasionally eat really, really hot chili peppers and regret it for the next 20 minutes and then do it again a week later for some reason. But yeah, I just thought at the time it was just like, oh, it's a weird thing. Like we just can kind of goof around for 30 minutes while we do gardening. But like I find myself now with all these plants and like there's little things that I remember from like those classes that I just wouldn't have known otherwise. So yeah, definitely like just really cool to me that it was more than just sitting in a classroom and just like learning math and science and stuff like that. We got to do things like, work in the garden, or like, I remember one time, like, I don't know why this stuck with me, but we were like trying to design like what trees we would need to plant to like build a windbreak on one of the sides of the playground. I don't know if that ever actually happened, but like we were tasked with researching that, which I feel like normally you don't tell a 7th grader to do that.
I started at Montessori in the primary class, and Nancy was my teacher, and the way that we learned in that class with the grace and honestly with the love that she brought into teaching, and the love she had for learning and fostering that in all of us. Nancy, your presence with us during those years, and then now even just looking at these pictures that they're putting up for the 30 days of Nancy, your presence is a comfort to me anytime I see you. And I think Montessori will never be the same after you retire, but I know they're in good hands because you've helped build it to what it is today.
Getting into high school is very different, being in a public environment, and I just learned to appreciate what I had in Montessori, because all the teachers and all the students were basically an extended family. And then after high school, ended up going to NC State for architecture school. Went in there for about 5 years, finished it, and stayed in Raleigh for about 2 years at a firm that I was lucky to grab with a fellow professor there. So it was nice to have another teacher. I just kind of appreciated having that source of role model in my life that I learned to appreciate in Montessori. So I think that really set me on a good path to seek out those kind of people with the knowledge and form that relationship.
I proceeded to go to the early college at Guilford, graduated in 2020, and then went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where I'm currently a freshman, an honors student, and a Wood Scholar there. When I think back on memories of Nancy, pretty much everyone has said this, and it's because it's true. You know, she was everywhere. You think of Montessori, you think of Nancy. I looked at the kind of the page that GMS made for her, and in the first paragraph it says, Nancy founded a Montessori school. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, I'm not surprised. You know, like she is Montessori. She was everywhere. If you were in the garden, she was there. If you were at the land, she was there. She helped found that program. If you were, you know, cooking in the kitchen during restaurant, she was there. Pretty much everything. And I really appreciate the influence she had on, you know, not just me as a person, but the whole school, which in turn shaped me as a person a lot. I look back very, very fondly on my memories of GMS and, you know, all the things that it taught me, not just like the hard skills, like, you know, how to be at the land and camping basically for a week at a time, but also, you know, how to interact with adults, especially. I found that a lot of my peers were having a lot of trouble with that once I got to high school, but I was able to advocate for myself, and I credit GMS with that.
Hi Nancy, congratulations on your retirement. I just wanted to say thank you for your mentorship and support since we first met like 25 years ago. While I can't be there tonight, imagine I'm giving you a big hug on the GMS field anyway. Congratulations.